Are you staying safer at home? Are you thinking about doing some genealogical research, but you're just not sure what to do next? Well, join me and we'll talk about one of those topics that might stir you to move from where you are. Hey, it's Mark Lowe with Kentucky Tennessee Research, here with, I'm hoping, an opportunity for us to figure out what to do next. I'm safer at home. Hopefully you are too. Trying to take care of our family and all of the folks that we need to be watching and taking care of and calling and keeping up. And I am doing that. Our family is keeping up with some Zoom meetings. We're having like our regular lunch time that we used to gather, and we're doing them over Zoom, and we're talking about what we're eating and talking about what's going on and talking about who we know in the community and what's going on. Telephone, calling folks, taking care of folks that we know and care about. That's our job. But also, I'm trying to do some research, and I have things I'm supposed to be working on, but occasionally I have some quiet time. What am I going to do in that quiet time? Well, okay, I have tons of stuff piled up. So it's a good time to go back. Occasionally I'll put things in a box or a bundle because I don't have time to handle them at the moment, and I'll go back and look at them. For example, this Tennessee Home and Farm magazine from 2019. Number one, I love the magazine put out by Journal Communications. It's wonderful. I'm proud to be a Tennessee Farm Bureau member. But why did I keep this volume? Now, I tend not to keep all of them, although there's some great editions. I'll tend to go through and either digitize or pull an article out, sometimes multiple things, and I'll file them in my cabinet or the other file. But I'm not sure exactly why. And so as I look at the table of contents, I'm still not sure why. So it might take a moment or two. I did notice that this was the last article by one of my good friends who has written a regular article for the Farm Bureau for years. And maybe that's why I kept it, because it's an excellent article. But I'm not sure, okay? So what I'll do is, as soon as I have a moment, I'm going to just take some time and go through this from, as they say, cover to cover, and determine why I kept this. And if not, then I'm certainly going to keep it probably for that article that was in there, but I think there's something else in here, okay? But what? I don't know, but I'll figure it out, okay? And then when I do. Now, with this same bundle, in fact, kind of in the middle of this stack of three pieces I'm going to show you right now, this is a copy of a record group finding aid from the Tennessee State Library and Archives. This happens to be for record group 30, which is the Secretary of State's records from 1796 to 1865. Okay, well, I'm sure that at some point when I was working on those records and I was at the Tennessee State Library and Archives, I asked for a copy of this finding aid. Okay, now some of these are available, but this is probably one I would have picked up and made a copy of, or they gave me a copy in regard to something I was researching. Now, maybe I finished it at that point in time, and I hope, and I might be able to go back and look. Sometimes I will have put a Post-it note inside something like this to help me remember what it was. But this one does not have a Post-it note or a reference. It's also not clipped to it. So I can go back and look through my research notes from the time period based on when the magazine came. That's probably a close proximity to when I needed this record, okay? Now, if that doesn't help me, I'll look through it and just see if there's some reference otherwise. That's one of the advantages of creating a log of the records that you're looking at, what you want to look at, the reference in regard to my plans, when I do a research plan of those notes. I can search across them, and that may actually tell me why I obtained this. It could have been something beyond that point that I was identifying. Either way, it's a good time to go back and look at, open research notes or plans that you wanted to follow up on, and actually firm those up a little more specific to the point or record, or in this case, what microfilm and or manuscript collection did I want to look at. Same thing is true in the same time period. I kind of know why I had this one out. This is a wonderful book, and I have several of these for several state archives. This is a preliminary guide to pre-1904 county records at the Virginia State Library and Archives. Now, it's also available online at Family Search, by the way, through the book collection. So, you don't have to wait to get that access to that one. But in this case, why did I have this one? And the thing is, everything's going on. Something's happening all the time. And so it's always something to keep up with. And sometimes I remember exactly what I want. Again, I put notes in there. But this is a wonderful book in regard to a reference. So I have the time period. So again, this is one of the advantages of writing good and keeping good notes in regard to your plans, research ideas, and references, so you can search across them. Because if you got stopped in the middle of something, for example, just as I was filming this, I got a phone call, and I had it ringing as opposed to silent, which I usually do, and I needed to stop. So, that could happen any point in time. So, again, what was it that I was looking for? Now, often, I may have been thinking about something in regard to not only a research plan, but maybe something I was talking about in regard to a lecture or something that I was going to be talking about later. So, again, go back through it. By the way, it's never a bad idea to take time to just look at the various counties where you research and those adjacent in a great book like this one by the Virginia State Library and Archives. I have a North Carolina one, very similar to this one, that I also access. I have it in the paperback volume, and I have it in a digital format as well. It's the kind of things that when I need ideas, it's like, okay, what were the records available? I have those. It's I wished I could remember everything that I need to remember. I'm having problems with what's going on right now, remembering what day of the week it is. I'm also having a problem remembering the month occasionally. I actually was telling a friend today that in the process of being disjointed, I'm not exactly sure. And so what month is this? Because I'm dealing with things that are maybe 2 or 3 months in the future, and then things in the past, and then what we're going to do this week and next week, that I really do say just a little bit confused, that concept of what should I do next. But I do want to show you kind of a couple of records from a digital aspect. These are things that I pulled out at some point in time, or I made a copy of them. And what's interesting about this is I don't do everything in a perfect way. I wish I did, but here's a good example. This is a reference to a record. I'm sure it's North Carolina. I can see a reference to a guardianship report, but there's no dates other than this is probably from some record, page 196. I don't have a reference to location, a time, a specific reference, or even where this came from. Now, it's obviously a picture of a card, probably a library card. But I separated it. Such a good reminder of the fact of why we must at least write a source, a repository, a book, a microfilm reference. It is so important that we don't let a piece of information separate from its source, because if you do, you may or may not remember where this came from. Now, likewise, so I can do some research on that. It's obviously a person who died prior to 1754, which narrows it down. So it's probably Virginia or North Carolina, because that's where I'm researching primarily in that time period, okay? It could be somewhere else, but maybe I can reference this. Now, also, I found in Luce a death certificate of somebody named Lowe. Probably not my family, but I'm not sure exactly if I did find a reference to it and put it away, or just thought it's something I really wanted to look at later. I'm thinking that's what it was. And so why? Is it somebody that I think is actually related to me? at some point in time, or is it related to something else I'm researching? I just really don't know. It's somewhat frustrating to just really feel that concept, you know? What should I do next? Well, do whatever you think is going to help you feel good about being safer at home. Do anything that you think leads you to find more information. This is a good time to actually look at some other sources. Maybe this is the time to go back and say, you know, I'm just going to go look at some things and learn more about David Rumsey and the map that he's made available to us. Maybe I'm going to spend some time at the Virginia State Archives and their website, and then look at other publications that I have in my library that might be helpful to me and understand more about particular counties or families that I'm researching. Any of these are good. They're all good. It's always, we wish we had more time. It's not that we have more time. It's that we're forced to deal with the time period that we have in our house, with our families, with our friends, taking care of ourselves. And by the way, it's always a good time to learn more about the things that you want to learn more about. I love reading. It's a good opportunity to read some more. So I encourage you to take advantage of this time to stay safer at home, and also take advantage to enrich yourself, encourage yourself, help your family and friends by learning more about the things that they love hearing stories about, by the way. It's a good opportunity to identify that. So, go forward. What am I going to look at next? You know what we're going to look at next. We're going to look at what should I do while I'm here. And whatever it is on your next plan, do it, enjoy it, and have a great time. You know, genealogy links us all together. And the time that we're here, and the time that we're talking with one another, and we're encouraging one another, use social media, more, less. Whatever it is, it's your choice. Have a great day. Thanks for joining me, and we'll see you next time. Good luck.